Hello and welcome to my level whiteboxing, rapid whiteboxing series. Today we're doing the third prompt. The prompt this week is about a Hoover Dam style infiltration mission. A little bit similar to last week, but I'm going to try and take it instead of like a survival horror game kind of direction, I'm taking it in more of a stealth action game kind of direction with a little bit of platforming in there. Spoilers, it does not go very well. Otherwise, though, 2 hours on the clock. I'll see you guys at the end of the video to talk about what I thought went well, what I thought didn't go so well, and what I'm starting to think I'm going to do differently for next time. Alright, so we're at the end of the challenge for today. That definitely could have gone better. This is actually the second time I'm recording this. I actually recorded probably 12 minutes of just reflection and just kind of going through everything I had done, and then I played back the audio and it was horrible. So I'm not gonna do another 12 minutes reflection necessarily, but I tried some different things this week. Last week was a really interesting challenge because I was able to make more gameplay very quickly. I was able to get more done, and I actually had a small level that had a little bit going on, a little bit to do in it, a sense of progression and direction to the space. But to do it, maybe I didn't make the best level design choices. I worked in more of an environment art kind of way where I was focusing much more on I was working much more on designing the look of the space, and so I started from the outside in, and this is kind of what the environment's going to look like, and then as I would get to places, I would start working on, okay, well, this is what the inside of that space would look like. When normally, as a level designer, you really want to work the other way around. The way the space looks shouldn't inform the way the level design works too much. Architecture is one thing, but if I say the room's this big, that's not real great because it doesn't mean I've designed the room with function in mind. I've designed the room with it looking like a room in mind. It's just not necessarily the right way to go about it. It wasn't a huge problem last week, but it probably would have been in the long run, especially if I were to continue to playtest and that watching back that video footage, I didn't do a great job of scale because of that, and so it worked, but it was just kind of a problematic solution, so I want to do something different this time. My takeaways from that challenge as well, though, were I got a lot done and still didn't finish the level. And it wasn't even that big of a level necessarily. So what I wanted to try to do was aim for a lower fidelity, but be consistent the whole way through. And just try and get something playable very quickly. And what I ended up realizing was that was going to be really hard with this challenge, just because the prompt was so big. The setting therein described was huge, and what I probably should have done was picked a small part of it and aimed for that, but instead I actually tried to do the whole thing, and I just think that was too much, and really wasn't able to deliver on that. I had some interesting ideas, I thought. I had this idea for Vista, and I worked on that for a little while, exaggerating some of the scale of the source material, adding in another tower that would be like the end goal of the level. That's 2 weeks in a row towers have been the end of the level. I don't know why. Both infiltration missions, I don't know why that's happened twice now, but yeah, I had a defined end in mind, I had a defined start in mind, but I really didn't have any idea of what the between of that was going to look like. Besides vaguely, I wanted to go for this stealth kind of thing. You were sneaking into this space, maybe to read guard towers, watching the player. Um, and because of that, the player wouldn't like be taking the road to the space. The player would be um, just kind of sneaking about the space. And I didn't necessarily have all the mechanics in there to be able to do that the way I wanted to. So I tried programming in just like a simple teleport tool where I could put a volume down, and if the player presses an interact button, it'll just teleport them past the challenge. I've seen other studios do that. I've seen a blockout from a Ghost of Tsushima level had that in it at one point. Um, and I tried to do that and um, just wasn't able to get it working. Not my best technical performance ever. Um, I'm sure I'll look at this tomorrow and be like, wow, that was just really simple mistakes, and I just forgot something super obvious. But regardless, I wasn't able to get it working. Um, so that was kind of a bummer. Just lack of overall direction, I think, was my biggest flaw in the space. Obviously, like it looks pretty, but there's just not really any gameplay here. I mean, there's very little actual space finish that you can walk around. And 2 hours isn't a long time, and I acknowledge that. Um, but I think I wanted this to go differently, and I was hoping to have more gameplay, not less gameplay, out the other side of it this time. Um, so yeah, I definitely want to do some stuff differently. I think what I'm thinking about right now is pre-production work on a level design workflow is extremely important. That's not like a new thought. That's not a crazy revelation. That's just a true statement. If you want to really be able to like make a level in a timely fashion and not get stuck like I did, where it's just like, man, I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know what the minute-to-minute thing is. I know a start, I know an end. You need to do that pre-production work and really flesh out, like, you know, the player's going to do this, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to do this. This is the way the progression works. This is the narrative structure of the thing. Because you can try and create things, but it's all just going to be filler if you don't have those, like, little goals in mind, I think. The minute-to-minute goals, we'll see immediate goal of the player in mind. That kind of pre-production workflow is, like, super important. And I did some sketch work like that, and I think I was just so caught up in like, oh, but I gotta get started. It's been like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the challenge, and I still haven't even opened Unreal yet. I think it's tough because to get more done for the challenge, I think opening on Unreal maybe was like not a bad idea, but to make a better level and to get more progress done on a better level, even if it was less visible progress, I probably should have waited and should have just kept going on paper, continued designing the space, and just thinking about those things. Like I said earlier, I mean, I really think what I should have done here is picked up part of the space, not the whole space. Maybe it was just the tower thing at the end, or maybe it was just the start leading up to the thing, or maybe it's like right inside. I gathered a ton of references. Just picked an area. That's probably what I should have done. And I bit off a little more than I could chew to be able to make something playable in 2 hours. Obviously, this challenge is like way exaggerated. You know what I mean? 2 hours isn't like a time span you're going to be making a level in anyway. So it's okay that I didn't finish it in 2 hours, but this is definitely the least amount of gameplay I've had in the challenge, and that stands out to me, I think. So yeah, that's real. One of the goals I had going in, I may have said it already, but one of the goals I had going into this challenge is, I wanted to try and maintain a consistent fidelity throughout the whole thing, and just aim for lower fidelity but make more. And I think I would have been able to do that had I had more planning out front for what the space was going to be, as opposed to just like a broad, it'll kind of look like this thing. Because what I was able to get, like I just said, was definitely less. And the level of visual fidelity is fairly consistent with itself throughout, but it's not. There's no gameplay. And so that's definitely rough, I think. You know, it's funny. I said I wasn't gonna do another like 10-12 minute kind of thing, but I totally have, and that's okay. That means you're hearing this voiceover while the blockout's actually happening, which is probably more interesting. But I think next week, like looking towards the next challenge, the thing I'm kind of stuck in is like to build a level that's going to be engaging and interesting and have the gameplay I want to strive for and start trying to figure that stuff out. What I really need is a good idea of, you know, what the minute-to-minute things are in the challenge. Otherwise, I'm just building environment. An environment can look cool, but it's probably not great for gameplay on its own. And so I really need, like, you know, just something different, something really different. I either need more planning to answer those questions, or I need like a much smaller like goal. And whether that's I need to like change what the prompt is to be something much simpler, or like I was saying, just like hear the prompt and take a small piece of it and try and like do that small thing really, really well. I don't think either of those is a wrong answer. But I think something like that, some kind of change like that's probably what I need to do. And then that same thing where it's like, if I want to make it good in a short period of time, I think that's what it's got to be. Focus on the pre-production, answer those questions. Level design flows when you don't have unanswered questions. Unanswered questions is like the kryptonite for designers, I think. 'Cause it's so hard to work around something you don't know. And so I think that's maybe what I need to focus on next is, you know, regardless of the prompt, aim small, think about a smaller goal, and just really try and like speed up that pre-production workflow, and then get into Unreal and try and make the thing faster. But it's tough. It really is tough, and it's tough because I think that you know, there's a version of this I could see where I'm spending like an hour and a half just doing pre-production stuff, and then 30 minutes maybe in Unreal. I could spend the entire 2 hours doing pre-production stuff, figuring out how I'm gonna make this level, and not have anything turn in, right? And certainly have designed a better level, whether you can see it or not. But man, then I'm just thinking about like design tests I've taken and whatnot, where it's they want to immediately see a result, and that's not every design test, but I've certainly taken design tests that are like that, and that's valid too. So yeah, it just depends what you're after. I think the choice I'm going to make, and I'll think about this more throughout the week, is I want to do what's going to make a better level, what's going to be more interesting design, more interesting gameplay. And for that, I think it's leaning on the pre-production stuff, thinking about a smaller goal, and just figuring out the design of that, focusing on that pre-production stuff. The blockout is secondary. I think that's the way I have to approach the challenge next, and so I think that's the way I'm going to go into the next one, and we'll see how it goes. So That's when I'm rambling, right? But um, I think it was a really, you know, good practice, great challenge. Even if it didn't go the way I wanted to, I think I learned a lot to reflect on. Even past this initial video, I'm sure I'm gonna have a ton to think about throughout the week and waiting on the next challenge. So, um, tons of great thoughts. Still really enjoying doing the challenge. Can't wait for the next one. Um, Excited to come back next week and give it my best shot and try and do better next time. So, awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next one, Prompt 4. Have a good one. Bye.